Okay, yeah, that'd be. Can I just go to Sharon?
Almost still
General Manager of Road Safety, and I'm going to return to autonomous braking technology. You'll need to trust me on this information, and I can provide evidence of it. The AEB autonomous emergency braking market will reach $55.1 billion by 2025, driven by government mandates in European countries and the US, and rising safety concerns will be the major drivers for this market. And this financial report goes on to say that we live in a part of the world, Asia, where 50% of the motor vehicles in the world are made. China, India, South Korea, Japan and others. Malaysia, Thailand and the like. Now, that says very, very clearly that there's not only a dramatic shift to this technology globally, but it's also a tremendous financial opportunity for people investing in this marketplace. And just refresh my memory, what are we doing in Australia? We're doing an ADR standard for heavy vehicles. Is that the extent of what we're doing in AEB?
No, and we are commencing the work to do a regulatory impact, the research for data to inform a regulation impact statement for AEB for light vehicles.
Okay, so Senator Sterle and I, we don't have all night, so Senator Sterle and I were discussing in the break, what does a regulatory impact study do?
It assesses the benefits against the costs.
It assesses the benefits
against
of
the
a $55 billion worldwide investment accepted by 50% of the car manufacturers in the world in our area. But we here in Australia, in our department of 10 people, are going to do an assessment of the benefits of AEB when the world is moving to at 100 miles an hour. Is that what we're doing? Assessing the benefits of AEB.
With the intention of mandating it by the end of the current action plan. By the end of 2020.
By 20?
By 2020.
For who?
For
all vehicles?
For light vehicles and heavy vehicles. Heavy vehicles first, because there's a standard that we can adopt. Okay. There has to be a standard developed
internationally. If I was to accept that that was a rational plan, how many rigid heavy vehicles versus the heavy vehicle definition that you've taken? You've decided to have a look at the articulated.
Well, sorry, no, that I think you're talking about ESC at the moment rather than AEB. I don't know the percentage.
You don't know?
No. Okay.
So we bring in, and you mentioned an earlier stat that we've got 31% and the US has got 20%. We know it takes a very long time to change the fleet. I come from a state with the oldest fleet in Australia. But if we were to start with 1.1 million vehicles being 5-star safe rated, we would impact on the ageing fleet in each and every state and territory, as we have with ABS, ESC, seatbelts and the like.
Yes.
That's not contestable. But just put it on the record once more. We're going to do a regulatory impact statement about the benefits of AEB. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, against the cost, yes.
Can I ask why, given the overwhelming evidence across the world and the incredible investment across the world, why we would be bothering to do that?
That's the government mandate process that we have to work through.
That's a regulatory process?
Yes.
It's in regulation?
Yes.
And legislation you have to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we need to go. We need to change that, don't we? Because that was driven when we had 2, 3 or 4 car manufacturers in Australia?
It's across the government, Senator.
But we did have car manufacturers in Australia and we don't have any anymore?
Yes.
That's true, isn't it? So why do we have regulations like
fairness, that? I'm not sure that the officers can respond.
Well, she is responding, Chair.
Well, it's getting a bit circular. Do you believe you can respond to that, why the government policy is different to what the Senator would like?
The point I'm trying to make is we had regulation for very good reason. We used to make motor cars. We don't anymore. We just need to change. That's my point.
Yeah, but I'm in your hands if you want to express an opinion.
We still regulate the standard for entry to the market in Australia. So that's why we still have Australian standards.
That's right. The government's been left behind and the boat left the dock, you know.
We don't have to agree with that, obviously.
Beg your pardon? Sorry?
Sorry, I wouldn't agree that we've been left behind. There are other standards where we are ahead of the rest of the world.
Well, it would appear that the framework we're working under is not nimble, to say the least, because we know now you're telling us 2 years to change this.
Maybe.
So it's not nimble, it's not something that can be done
It's
quickly.
not guaranteed 2 years.
And then when you say a regulatory impact statement is to test the veracity of AEB, I think we've missed that boat. I think someone's already done that for us.
But there are multiple technologies for AEB. There's not a single technology. There is no standard in existence worldwide for light vehicles as yet, and that's developing and designing those standards to test the technology against.
Yeah, I understand that.
It's a complex
we need signs
process.
that can interact with cars, that can recognise the speed sign and drop the interactive cruise control. I understand all that. All right. So whilst the world is running ahead at this 100 miles an hour, we're going down, in my view, the introduction of seatbelt part.
Just if I can, with the regulatory impact statement, who do you ask what? I don't understand. No, I'm not being a smarty.
Right.
The regulatory impact statement, so who do you meet with and what do you ask them?
So initially, a data set is developed and analysed based on the real world data of the impact of the technology. That's what we're developing at the moment with the MUARC studies for AEB for heavy vehicles first and then light vehicles. That's then analysed against the cost of in the RIS against the cost of deploying that across the fleet and at a staged or a one-off implementation date. And then when the consultation will be with all jurisdictions in Australia, all industries impacted by the more stringent regulation.
So I read the BITA report from front to back, the one that was commissioned by the government, which was part of their election policy when they came in, said, to reduce road trauma. Have you read that report?
Which report, sorry?
The BITA, the Bureau
BITRA?
Yeah, BITRA, sorry. Yeah, have you read their report? Have you read the report?
Which one was that?
The BITRA one.
On AEB?
In road trauma, reducing road trauma.
And it did have specific sections about AEB.
And it talked about...
If it was the 2013-14 one, yes, I have read
Yeah, the one that the government...
Projection of mandating.
Yes, I have read that.
Okay, and help me out there. And it talked about emergency autonomous braking, autonomous emergency braking, and there was 2 examples. And the cheapest end of the scale was around $230, somewhere around there, to put that into a new vehicle. And if I'm wrong, correct me.
Yep.
And that was the poverty pack, so to speak, that, it could go a long way to stop cars that are waiting to turn into the traffic running over someone on a push bike. Okay, all right. Then it went to the hamburger with a lot, which was about $1,200. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm thinking through here is that, okay, and I'd said earlier, so if you buy a new car and you get $1,200 have autonomous emergency braking, and you're paying that off over 4 years, it's not hard to work out, it's probably about $5 a week. It's just the sort of conversations you go out there and have with other people, like, is this too expensive to expect Australians to have to pay this? Like coloured TVs and mobile phones, they halve after 6 months. Is that what an regulatory impact statement is doing?
Not that type of analysis, no. It's the overall cost to industry of imposing the regulatory burden.
And industry is, sorry.
The manufacturers of vehicles.
Okay, who aren't Australian and who have that technology.
We don't have them anymore, that's my question.
So this is where I'm lost. Who are you going to talk to? Well, you talk to China and Japan.
No, we talk to the Australian representatives of those, so mainly through the FCAI and the Truck Industry Council, etc.
But we're not. Are we serious? Do you know the cost of to our nation each year in road trauma?
Yes, I'm aware.
You do? How much?
27 billion.
Yeah.
Well, the most common figure in your reports is 30 billion.
Yeah.
Well, we could ask the
latest figure is 30 billion. The report by Professor Woolley and Dr. Crozier comes out at 30 billion with a projection of possibly 300 billion on the trend that we're going in 10 years. So am I right to say We have a cost of 27 to 30 billion a year through road trauma, but we have to go out there and talk to Australian representatives of foreign car makers to see if we have to spend or impose a standard on them that may put $5 a week on the price of a new car over 4 years to a purchaser in Australia. Am I missing something?
No, I mean,
That is the
that's
you've-
the requirement. That's the
No,
requirement.
I'm not setting you up for... No, I'm not setting you up. I'm just... Because you've made it very clear, you're working with the rules that you are given.
Yes.
And you can't do... And bless your cotton socks, it's great. And it's not having a crack at you. So what I'm highlighting is this is just... And you don't have to comment. This is... I'm going to finish on this. This is just absolutely ridiculous that we're in this situation and we need to change the rules. I can't use that terminology because the ACTU have gone ahead and they'll get to that. How did you make me say that?
No, but-
we're going to get rid of... We're going to up the standards and get with the rest of the world.
But
Anyway, I haven't
the
finished.
point is that those manufacturers are meeting the requirements in the largest jurisdictions in their largest markets. And if you look back into Australia, you know, the major mining companies won't buy a vehicle that's not safe. They won't put the Toyota had to comply with 5-star NCAP rating or they wouldn't buy it. So major corporate players are moving quickly to protect their people and we are not. That's my point. 1.1 million plus vehicles that come in here every year, mandating these safe proven technologies should not take 2 years, 5 years or 11 years. And we need to get someone to put this as a priority.
So,
Well, Senator, I mean, it is certainly a priority, as Sharon has already indicated. It is something that we're committed to achieving as part of the National Road Safety Action Plan to be completed by 2020. We do have the issue of not having a UN standard which we can base our ADR on. We're doing the research now so that we can move quickly to have a regulation impact statement on for light vehicles as you know, as soon as we've got a standard in which we can base the work on. But there is a clear commitment, and in the meantime, the work that ANCAP is doing by requiring AEBs as part of their 5-star rating is having a noticeable impact on the fleet in Australia with the new cars coming into the country.
Forgive our negativity, Miss Spence, but it's not hard to realise all this activity's come about once we started the road safety inquiry, and then to cap it all off, and this is nothing to be proud of as a nation, the Australian Automobile Association's 2018 benchmark report, which I don't have to go into here, showing all states and all indicators going south. So it's very hard. We're not knocking the poor devils that are out there trying to implement this ancient regulation. But the truth of the matter is, how can we as a nation have any confidence we're going to get there? And how long have we been talking about autonomous emergency braking?
I think we're definitely making progress on heavy vehicles, and
I'm talking. Let me tell you all about heavy vehicles when you've got 15 years to spare, all right? I can tell you all about heavy vehicles. So let's not start me on... Don't wind me up. It's late at night. Let's get back to the 1.1 million cars that come into
You and
this
your
nation.
trucks and Wacker and his mobility skills.
Oh, well, sorry, mate. It's been 3 generations of my family and you just can't get the diesel out your blood, so they say, in your part of the world. I don't put it like that, but anyway. So, getting back to how long we've been talking about autonomous emergency braking. Miss Nakabane?
the 2 years that I've been
Yeah,
involved.
that's right.
No, but it's 2013. The Bitter report carefully flagged out mandating by 2018
Yep.
and also took it out to 2025. So it's been on the horizon of the department, the Bureau of Transport Industry Economics, for quite a considerable amount of time. It's not 2 years.
And when we talk about Australians, we've got 31% of our fleet has got autonomous emergency braking as compared to 20% of the American fleet. How many is that in true vehicles? True number in vehicles, not percentages.
So if 31% of the new car
Yeah.
sales, new cars are being
Yeah.
offered to market, that's, so figures from ANCAP, that's 31% of the top 100 selling models, so be the vast majority. So it would be close, above 300,000, I think.
Yeah, sure. And the American one, 20%?
Yes. I don't know what the proportion.
Yeah. I'm just, percentages,
Yep.
I've just got to tell you, Anyway, I think everyone understands where Senator Gallagher and I
Oh,
are
it's a
coming.
point well made.
Yeah, should we keep going about it? Okay, can I just ask then, in terms of the Australian Automobile Association's benchmark reports, with everything I've mentioned earlier, can you tell us if the government or the department provided a response to the AAA's report?
No, I don't think we did, Senator. I'll double check, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Ms Spence, you would know if you did. That's fine. Did the government or the department do a review of the report?
We would be taking it into account in work and advice that we provide to governments and through the Transport and Infrastructure Council of the analysis that the AAA undertook in their report.
Mind you, things have all moved on since then, haven't they? Yeah, okay.